All right, welcome back to another video. Now, this video I'm going to be talking about anarchists and anarchism, but more that like anarchists, quote unquote, community. Because I mean, technically, philosophically, I'm an anarchist myself, but I'm like a philosophical anarchist. I'm not like an ANCAP, which and anarcho-capitalism is an oxymoron. I know your big brain can't handle it, but it's an oxymoron because capitalism itself is a hierarchy because each person has more money than the next person or less money than the next person, making it a hierarchy, right? Like, let's put it this way. This is the simplest way to prove that capitalism itself is a hierarchy, right? You know, like a lot of anarchists like to travel around the world because they're all rich off Bitcoin or whatever and claim that everybody can just do everything on their free will and everything's voluntary and nobody has to do anything. Nobody should be forced to do anything. But just imagine if, you know, you took like one of your flights to some country and say the minimum wage in the country was like $3,000 an hour and everybody in the country had like 20 billion, like the poorest person in the country had like $20 billion, right? And instead of showing up with your like Bitcoin money and like, you know, getting cheap food and high level service, extremely luxurious accommodations, apartments, Airbnbs, I don't know where you're staying. Instead, everyone in the country was so rich where you showed up that the only thing that they had for you was for you to work. They're like, we don't need your money. They're like, we're already all rich, right? We're all already richer than you. If you want to stay in our country, the only way to stay in our country is you have to become a busboy. It wouldn't be as fun to go on vacation now, would it, right? It's only fun when you have more money than them. More money meaning a hierarchy. So capitalism itself is a hierarchy. So anarcho-capitalism doesn't even make sense. But I know you've got to sell your Bitcoin courses. Got to push it. And look, I'm not against Bitcoin. I'm just like, it's obviously a contradiction, right? So it's like, I'm a philosophical anarchist, basically meaning that, you know, in the ultimate black pill of reality, like nobody's quote unquote in charge. There's just people that have more power than other people that can force people to do stuff, whether it's through coercion or through just straight physical threats or whatever. That's what money is. Money is a way to coerce people to do stuff. The whole purpose of money was literally invented by the government as a way to get people to do stuff. Because once they knew that the religion thing was going to run out eventually. Because originally people were motivated by religion. Like the Egyptian pyramids were built by mostly slaves and also people that were extremely religiously devout to their specific religion. Same with, you know, cathedrals in Europe and places in, you know, Asia. They were built with a religious connotation by people that believed in the religion. They weren't charging billions of dollars to build these elaborate structures. They did it because they believed in it. Right. And so money itself is a way for the government to get people to do stuff that they don't want to do. Right? It's not about storing your time. It's not about your trading your energy because there's tons of different ways to do that. Money is a way that governments motivate people to work. Right? And so it is in itself a hierarchy. But now that we've got through my disagreements with anarchists, we can just get to the point of the video that anarchists, with all their claims of voluntarism and free will and everybody has a choice and everybody can choose what they want to do, the first thing they do when somebody chooses something that they don't like is get online and start calling them bootlickers and they're slaves and blah, 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 all the bullshit that anarchists come up with to try to mentally put you down, to make you want to go into their system. Right? But it's just like, it's factually untrue. It's retarded. And it's like, oh, everybody's a bootlicker but me. right? But yet I'm traveling around with passports. I'm using the currency of the country that's a government issued currency, right? The internet, designed by the government. Bitcoin, designed by the government, right? All the defense systems that make life safe so that you can live a more libertarian type of lifestyle, designed by the government, upheld by the government. So you're living in a fantasy world where you're just rich, and then you can pretend as if you're not being controlled by the government, but you are, just like everybody else is. As soon as you do something that they don't like, they're going to come and get you just like everybody else. And you can pretend, because you're rich, that nobody can do anything to you until they decide to, right? And it's just like every single time, and it's like they just play both sides. When the Republicans are in office, then they go, oh, but what about the Democrats' right to do this and right to do that? And then when the Democrats are in office, they go, oh, well, what about the Republicans' right to do this and right to do that? You're just playing both sides. You're just playing both sides. Why can't you criticize Democrats when Republicans are in office? Why can't you criticize Republicans when Democrats are in office? Or Republicans when Republicans are in office, and Democrats when Democrats are in office, right? It's always the vice versa. And that's the game that you're playing. That's the game that you're playing, right? When Republicans bring in ICE, then you show a bunch of videos of supposedly immigrants being abused by ICE. When Democrats are in office doing COVID, you show a bunch of Republicans getting pissed off about the shots. Like, I see your game. Like, I see the game. And it's all about selling your books and selling your courses just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. Look at this example, because libertarians, we always have to go back to the desert island example, right? Because we're individuals, right? So let's say we're on a desert island with like 500 other people, and you completely convince them to all establish an anarcho whatever type of system where they're like, okay, nobody's in charge. And then the first thing they do is decide to establish a constitutional republic. Or the first thing they decide to do is establish a communist, Soviet-style communist Politburo. According to your own logic, they're voluntarily allowed to do that. And then for you to stop them, the only way you can stop them is by force or by playing stupid mind games like criticizing Republicans by using Democrat talking points when Republicans are in office, and then criticizing Democrats by using Republican talking points when Democrats are in office. And then making people think that you're on their side when in actuality, you're just trying to sell your book just like everybody else. But then you come out of the woodwork, oh, the bootlickers, bro. Oh, you're a slave. You're a slave. You're a slave just like everybody else. Like, it's not like you could just do whatever you want. If you try and do whatever you want and see how fast the police come and get you. Just like everybody else. You're living in a fantasy world. I'm tired of the bootlicking bullshit. Oh, you're a bootlicker, bro. It's how the world actually works. Oh, all you have to do is just do voluntary stuff, right? Yeah, but how come you're rich and everybody else is poor, though? Like, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Like, seriously. Like, you explain to me how capitalism is not a hierarchy. Oh, but that one's okay, though. You're just like the relativist, where it's like, nothing is true except for this one statement that I'm saying that is true. But everything else is false, right? There is no hierarchy except for capitalism because I'm rich, right? And then people are like, hey, but I want to be a communist because I don't like you being rich. You're like, oh, no, you can't do that. But I thought we could voluntarily do whatever we want, except that. right? Oh, what about crony capitalism? Oh, you can't do that. Why not? Oh, because I don't get rich off of that. Oh, wait, what? But can't we voluntarily do whatever we want? Which means also voluntarily collectivizing into groups with people's own self-interest in mind. Like, say you're poor, then you want to be a communist. If you're rich, then you want to be a crony capitalist, right? Oh, no, you can't do that. No, you got to do the thing where it involves Bitcoin and selling books. Otherwise, you're a bootlicker. You're a bootlicker, the bootlicking slave, bootlicking slave. Bro, it's like, come on, man. Like, come up with something better. Like, actually present, like, look, it's almost the same criticism that I have for the Christians, right? It's like, okay, you want me to believe in Christianity, but you guys can't even agree on which form of Christianity, Catholicism, Protestantism, Orthodox, some random version of just believing in Jesus, right? It's the same thing with the anarchists. How come you guys all don't live together? How come you guys haven't set up any type of organization? Of course, that's antithetical, right? That's contradictory. Anarchist setting up an organization is contradictory, but anarchist believing in capitalism as a hierarchical system is not. But like I'm saying, how come you guys can't set up anything to prove that your system will work? You can't. You guys are all rich. You guys got all this Bitcoin money. You could move to Mexico or move to Cambodia or wherever and set up a small anarcho-capitalist city or town or whatever. There's plenty of rundown towns in the United States that you could buy up and then prove to everyone that living with no laws and private police and all this stuff works better than the system that we have now. But you can't, so you won't. And then you just get online and disrespect everybody, calling them bootlickers and slaves, because they're just trying to live their day-to-day life. And they're not political wonks or economy wonks, right? And your fantasy belief system that you're above the law somehow it's just ridiculous. It's really getting to the point where it's just like, I can't even take you seriously at all. Like, at all. You really have to explain to me how capitalism is not a hierarchy. How capitalism would still be just as good if everybody had the exact same amount of money and everybody could travel around the world. Like, think about it, right? It's like Stefan Molyneux's universal preferable behavior. Now, while it might not be the most ethical, best ethical system in the world, it does point out a lot of inconsistencies in people's logic, right? If everybody was rich and everybody was flying around the world on a plane and just paying for cocktails and paying for hanging out on the beach, who would be there to fly the plane? Nobody, right? Because everybody would be waiting online to get on the plane, right? So it doesn't work. It is a hierarchy, right? If everybody's waiting online to get on the plane, number one, there's no plane because there's nobody to build the plane. There's nobody to fly the plane. There's nobody to serve you drinks on the plane because everybody is just as rich and they're all waiting online to take a flight to Fiji, right? They're all buying Bitcoin, but nobody's mining Bitcoin. Then there's no Bitcoin, right? If everybody's waiting to buy a Porsche, but nobody is unemployed enough to actually work in the Porsche factory, there's no Porsche. So it's obviously a hierarchy. Capitalism is obviously coercive. It's coercive at its core. And it's the same thing that the feminists are arguing about. That, men having money in their pocket is coercive to women, right? Because women just want the money and men are like, well, you have to exchange something of value with me to get the money out of my pocket. And women are like, no, we don't like that. We're going to do taxes instead, right? We don't like exchanging stuff with you because that's coercive, right? It's like having more money than someone in the modern age is defined as being coercive, right? It's like, I have more money than you. You have to come and work for me. I don't work for you. It's not like, oh, you have more money than you work for the person that has less money. No, the person that has more money gets to define the terms of the worker's conditions. And like, I'm not going full communist here, but it's just a description of reality that you are basically trying to pretend doesn't exist. Because anarchism, meaning nobody's in charge, and capitalism, meaning the person with the most money is in charge, are contradictory ideas. And this is what Mark Passio has been trying to say to you guys the whole time, that being an anarcho-capitalist doesn't make any sense, right? But then you're going to get online and you're going to call me a bootlicker and call me a slave and say all this, and then you're going to tell me to send you money. Yeah, exactly. All right, that's the end of the video for now. Thanks for watching if you did. Have a good day and peace.